Dr. Debo Akande is a distinguished international development leader with over 20 years of strategic leadership experience globally. He leads IITA Agribusiness Management globally with a specific focus on public policy, new business development, and private sector engagement in agribusiness for economic development. He has senior management experience in all three institutions of work, the public, private, and development sectors. At the highest corporate and governance levels, as the only Nigerian member of the IITA senior management team and the director of the Partnerships for Delivery Unit of the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA. A renowned, globally respected agricultural development organization reaching 5 sub-regions and 17 countries in Africa. Its portfolio includes leading all agricultural strategies that embed private sector initiatives in agricultural development programs in Africa, including industrial agriculture, technology innovations, mechanization, urban agriculture, and zero hunger programs. He combined this role at IITA with the position of the Pioneer Director General of the trailblazing Oyo State Agribusiness Development Agency, responsible for developing strategy, policy designing, and implementing the state's agribusiness programs. His extensive experience is evident in his leadership in successful design and management of several transformational agribusiness initiatives in Oyo State, including the African Development Bank, Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone Program, Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, Nigerian COVID-19 Action and Recovery Economic Stimulus Program, Rural Access and Mobility Program, the Oyo State Wholesale Market Development, and the Youth Enterprise Agribusiness Program, amongst others. He is also the Executive Advisor on International Development Corporation for the state and is saddled with responsibilities of leading the strategy, policy, and programs driving investment, technical and financial resources into all sectors in Oyo State in the last 6 years. Under the exemplary leadership of His Excellency Seyi Makinde, the Executive Governor of Oyo State, and through his office, he has driven close to $245 million blended international development fund into several sectors ranging from health, education, rural development, and agriculture in Oyo State. Prior to this, he was the head of Olusegun Obasanjo Station in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the third largest IITA research for development station in Africa, where he coordinated several CGIAR center activities and led multiple agribusiness management portfolios, including the World Bank Integrated Project for Agricultural Growth in the Great Lake of Africa and the CGIA Research Program on Food Systems and Healthier Diet in Africa. He was one of the 4 country coordinators for the CGIAR flagship on food systems and healthier diet in the world and the second in Africa. A CGIAR scientific committee delegate to the United Nations Food System Summit engagement process, he was also a portfolio manager for the British government in Nigeria, pioneering several programs on knowledge transfer partnerships for development and climate change. He has led several agribusiness management and consultancy works for and with diverse international institutions, including the World Bank, African Development Bank, Deloitte LLP USA, USAID, UK FCDO, Canada Finance, Gates Foundation, and Australia Aid. He has a doctoral degree in business administration from the University of Hertfordshire, the United Kingdom, with a specialty in agribusiness strategy development and management. He holds master's and bachelor's degree in international development studies from the United Kingdom and diplomas in international environmental law from the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, Switzerland, and agribusiness management from Pan-African University, Nigeria. He was trained in climate change management at Oxford University, United Kingdom, food security policy at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and World Bank, and negotiation, conflict analysis, and management from the United States Institute of Peace, United States, amongst others. He is a chartered manager and a fellow of the Chartered Management Institute, United Kingdom. He has authored over 20 articles in leading high-impact global journals, contributing to the discourse on agribusiness and international development worldwide. He has received distinct awards, including co-author of Best Paper of the Year 2016 by the World Mycotoxin Journal. He is married to Olufunmilayo Akande, an Ogbomoso daughter, and blessed with 2 children. Ladies and gentlemen, do make welcome Dr. Debo Akande,
the GM of BAT Foundation. Where are you, Dare? Dare Odusanya. Can you stand up wherever you are? Okay, if you don't know him, I want most of you to check who he is, and I will tell you the reason why. The second person is Dr. Wole Oladokun. Of course, I believe almost all of you will know him. Can you stand up, Dr. Oladokun? You know, I know some of my colleagues will be wondering that I refer to him as doctor. Yes, he is. He's a doctor of theology. If you don't know, please, you can sit down. He's a convener of this event, and he works with me, at IITA. I will always refer to him as a man with cat life. He knows what I'm talking about. I don't need to say more than that. When you can withstand storm, not one occasion, 2 occasions, 3 occasions, and in each of this period, you overcome with ease. First thing is clear, you must have God. Then the second thing is clear, you must be a man that has strategy. He has both. I do recognize you. So we gather not just to talk about leadership, but to redefine it. We stand at the moment in history where old model of leadership are no longer enough. The world is more interconnected and changing faster than ever before through technology, climate change shift, cultural transformation, and deepening global interdependence. So the main question that always comes to my mind is, who will lead? And who should lead? How must we lead to build a thriving global system? And the answer lies in what you asked me to speak about: innovation, integrity, and inclusion. As Nelson Mandela reminded us, it is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it. And when I'm given this opportunity to speak, either as a keynote speaker or to address this kind of an audience, I always count it as a privilege. And I draw a lot from my life experience as well, because it is not just a theoretical framework that we build. We use our theoretical framework to create something that is realistic in human essence. So I count this as a privilege for you to have invited me to come here as your keynote speaker. By the way, I just ran out of a major meeting for me. He is aware of that. It is the directors' meeting of the whole of the IITA. It's still ongoing. They're on break now, and I took my break to come here. And I apologize to them that I will extend for another 1 hour. Once I finish here, I jump back to go and join them in that meeting again. It shows to you how important this meeting is to me. For me, one of the best audience to speak to in life are people that I refer to as the young leaders. Much more than often, the word youth has been bastardized. But for me, it is much more important that every young person starts seeing themselves as a young leader. You are a leader in your own right. And why did I say this? There is something that is referred to as a domain of influence that every human being has, regardless whether you are a driver, or you are working as a mechanic, or you are working as a tailor, or you are a student. You have a domain of influence. It is for you to recognize that domain of influence and ask yourself how you are leading in that particular domain of influence. It might even be at home. My wife chose to go off work for a number of years. Is our agreement. As a matter of fact, she's more brilliant than I, because I'd never at any point in time of my academic had a first class. She had. But she didn't just have a first class. She was the best graduating student of our university at that particular point in time. I never had a first class. But she chose to say, for diverse reasons, that is family-based, she will go off career job and take care of home. She doesn't just see herself taking care of home. She refers to herself as home manager. If they ask her at any point in time what she does, she writes back as home manager. Understanding that in a domain of influence where she is currently, she has a kind of a leadership role to play. So that is the first thing I want you to really think about. What is your domain of influence that you have currently as you are seated? And what are you doing in terms of leadership in that particular space? It is easy to point fingers. It is easy to point fingers and say, you have not done, they have not done, this has not done, that has not done. Yes, it's true that they should. But where you are seated today, what are you doing? As a driver that has the capacity or ability to do some things with regards to the vehicle that you have, are you taking that leadership within that particular space to show that you have that capacity to do it? While I was here, seated on that chair there, I showed Mr. Oladokun a call that came through. Is that correct? I could bear me witness. It was His Excellency the Governor of the state that called me. Some of you might probably have saw me walking towards that side to receive his call, and I told him I was in this meeting. Why did I make reference to that? I've had on numbers of occasions that my relationship with the governor is something that is very difficult to understand. Not in a negative way, but in a very, very positive way. One major thing that plays out, and that he always tells me, is that, Debo, you manage your domain of influence with a lot of leadership skills. That filled gap that I will have been engaging in. I mentioned driver deliberately, and I will tell you something that happened 3 or 4 days ago. My driver, I've always tell him about this: show leadership in all what you do. Ensure that your domain of influence is where you take control. Ensure you give yourself in your domain of influence. He knows. I will tell him, don't do this, do that. It's something that is as basic as driving a vehicle, the cleanliness of a vehicle. And you'll be surprised I'm making reference to the granular. I want to do this because we relate to your day-to-day life as well. So that has been our usual. Until 4 days ago, I got a call from His Excellency, the Governor of the state. And he said, Debo, I want us to go and do an inspection somewhere. Of course, in the usual manner. He drove, he met me where I needed to meet me, and he said, let's go. At the point in time, he asked all the vehicle to stop. And they did stop. Do you know what happened? He came into my vehicle. And he sat there. He said, we are driving together in your vehicle. Security leave. The hand of my driver was shaking. Because he had never in his life driven a governor. But the point remains that became a test of how he has been managing his domain of influence. He never in his life ever thought that will happen. And do you know what that could lead to him? Because the governor was watching him how he was driving throughout the whole process. At the later stage, I asked him, oh, there was a particular reference made to something. Can you remind me? He said, I didn't even hear anything you were talking about. I ensured that I concentrated on the driving to the point whereby I won't be told that I created a problem, as it shouldn't have happened. Again, my point here is that you have that domain of influence. Always ensure that you see yourself as a leader in your domain of influence. At church, in the mosque, in your school, platoon, the department. What exactly are you doing there as a leader? Let us not continuously see our engagement in leadership from the presidency and the governor and the minister, and in your own domain of influence. How prepared are you? What are you doing in that space? You can imagine if we all have to write down our domain of influence as we are seated here, and we can show that we are showing the true leadership in that particular space, you will be surprised what will happen to this nation beyond just pointing accusing finger to those people at a particular position. And I expect those leaders to do well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not giving an excuse for bad leadership. But what I'm saying in essence is that while we are making reference to the grand leadership, we should also be looking at the kind of leadership that we are holding at different points in time. I make it a point of duty and vow to God that I will serve God through serving humanity. That is the one major purpose of my life. To serve God through serving humanity. As a matter of fact, at a younger age, I thought I was going to be a priest. I thought I was going to be a priest of an Anglican or Methodist church, because my own mirrored individual that you can refer to as mentors then were people like Matthew Cooker of this world and Desmond Tutu of this world. And I used to like what they were doing when I was younger. That they fought for humanity, they changed spaces, they created impacts, and I wanted to do it in my own little way. And do you know what I did? I actually went to a theological college in England. I was in the Methodist Seminary College. And I studied there thinking that I would become a priest. And at a point in time, I came across what they could refer to as libertarian theology. And what that thing does to me changed my life completely. At that point in time, I do understand too well that my interest in transforming humanity is not necessarily by standing behind the pulpit. That I want, at a point in time, to ensure that I serve God by serving humanity. And that changed the whole course of my life. I was offered scholarship to finish my course in theology, but I declined. And I went to go and do what I did today that led to what I am today, which I thank God for. But there is a but. At every single stage of my life, at that particular point in time, I have been able to identify that I have the same domain of influence as I've mentioned to you. I was a youth leader. I was given the opportunity to lead at that point in time. And my engagement as a youth leader at that particular point in time actually helped in building my soft skills up to today. Many of those soft skills that will never be taught in school. As a matter of fact, if I have to employ somebody among you now to a job, and not even hypothetical, let me say that I did an advert for a position, one position, and 1,525 people applied for that position. For me to make a selection, I had 7 of them that had first class. You must see how difficult it is to recruit for that position. What made a major difference between the person that got the job and those that didn't get it was that person has diverse soft skills that could be added to the technical knowledge that was reflected in the CV as the result of his academics. So the point I'm making here is that soft skills are mostly developed when you exercise your leadership skills in your domain of influence at different points in time. And I experienced that. As a youth leader, I mentioned to you, that was where I had the first opportunity in my life to have a public engagement, public speaking. I remember very well. I stood in front of a crowd like this, maybe not up to this, and I was wondering whether I was talking or the angels were talking because I couldn't hear myself. I was so scared to the point where I was talking and I couldn't even hear myself. But over time, I developed the skills and it became one of my strengths today. I never learned it once within the academics environment. Again, those domains that you have today, are you gradually looking at it and exercising all those soft skills, as it were, to build yourself up to the point whereby when you have a bigger responsibility, you will be able to do it better? As I was going into my academic years, I knew what happens today will happen. I knew that I was going to become an advisor to somebody one day. I'd known that over 25 years ago. I told myself that if I would do anything in the public space, it will have to be as an advisor. And one thing I told myself, that I will never be an advisor that will be advised. I will never be an advisor that will be advised. It doesn't mean that I will not listen to advice. What I mean is that I will be the one that will have the superior knowledge of the areas that I call my specialty. Why am I going to be an advisor if I don't have the superior knowledge of the area where I'm going to be the advisor? And this is exactly what is playing out today. So, if people say, I have that relationship with His Excellency again in this position that I am, that is one of the reasons. Because there has to be a value to that position that is given to you. I consistently ensure that I remain to be what I said I will be. It doesn't mean that your bosses will not have superior argument. Don't get me wrong. You will have bosses that will have superior argument and will override your decisions and things like that. But then within your conscience, you will have known that you have done the best within the global framework that is existing. Is that who you are now? Are you already thinking about 10, 15 years of your life? And start building all those soft skills that are necessary now within your own domain of influence. Or all what we do is to just sit and criticize and complain. I tell some of my young people that are working with me now, I said, it is no longer a Luther period. You are finished from the university. Leave a Luther alone. Leave a Luther alone. Concentrate on skill building that will develop your nation. I see complain. I see people going on Twitter. The time that you use in tweeting and condemning and fighting and doing a Luther is the same time that we all don't have more than 24 hours in one day. So if you don't utilize your 24 hours the way it's supposed to be utilized, then what do you think will happen? And the Bible says time and chances happens to them all. How do you use the time that you have? To me, one of the most valuable things in life is the time that I have. So now that you have those domain of influence, what are you using your time to do with it? Is it the time that you are using to do things that are not beneficial for you as a human being, that will build your skills for tomorrow? Or you are using the time to think properly as to what are the skill sets that needs to be developed today for you to be greater tomorrow? And by the way, I believe that this generation are the most privileged in my own opinion. Because in the days when we were growing up, maybe not at the university's level, something that as basic as you using computer to type, we were using typewriter. If we are going to submit your thesis, you will have to go and meet one old man in Okado that will be telling you that he doesn't have any time because he already have so many other things to type. And you will beg him with all your money for him to type your thesis for you. You have your computer today, meaning that the real time informations are in your hand. It is not even just you having a computer. You have the internet and you have all the information from everywhere that is existing in the world in your on your phone. How much of this information are you accessing to your own benefit, using your time to train yourself, to groom yourself? When people tell me, oh, we need training, I said, have you accessed what is free online first? So many things that is free online for your learning. Are we using that time to build ourselves and develop ourselves so that we can develop those necessary skill sets within the domain of influence that we have now, so that will spur us up for the future? We need to consistently look into that as we are growing in our different areas of life. Leadership will begin with personal integrity. Warren Buffett once said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. I will repeat that again. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to do what? To ruin it. What are you doing about your reputation today? And that is very, very related to your soft skills as well. If we said 5 o'clock, is it 5 o'clock? If I ask you to come and have a meeting with me by 3 o'clock, is it 3 o'clock? Or you are one of the people that will be calling me at 3 o'clock and be saying, sir, I'm sorry, I will be late. We have fixed it for 3 o'clock. You sat at home between morning till 3 o'clock. You could as well have told me by 12 or 2 or 1. That is integrity. Something as small as that are the things that people look into when we are trying to make a choice of a leader. Integrity what matters. When we put you in a position and you are supposed to deliver something, is this something that you take as a priority? Or you just see it as one of those things? I can assure you, people are watching you. You may not know. People are watching you. You may not know. While people consistently complain that they don't have a job, I dare say that every stages of my life, I have to make a choice between 2 or 3. I have to make a choice between 2 or 3. And at the same time, I know colleagues that will be saying that they are looking for a job. And I know what distinct me with others. Mostly it's not just my academic qualification. I'm not the only one that has a PhD or doctorate. There are many of us. But because of the kind of the soft skills that are developed, that include this integrity that I've mentioned, no one, no matter how brilliant you are, wants to put somebody that does not have integrity in a position of responsibility. Integrity matters. Integrity is the anchor of leadership. It is the quiet force that earns trust, stabilizes institutions, and inspires followership. In a world overwhelmed by misinformation, corruption, and short-term thinking, integrity has become revolutionary. Leadership is not about title, position, or flow charts. It is about one life influencing another. I remember very well. Remember I mentioned that I was supposed to be in a theological school. I got a scholarship. I didn't, follow it through. And I went to another school to go and study international development. And I will never, ever forget that. Then I had a professor that came to us. We were a bunch of young African students that were in that university. And he said, I know you guys like qualifications, you like papers. I said, but I want to tell you something today. Don't come to this school because you want to make a first class. Come to this university because you want to gain knowledge. They are two different things entirely. And that by virtue of knowledge that you get, you will be better even in your academics than anybody else. That was exactly what happened to me, and that still remains with me till today. Knowledge remains to be my number one, not the qualification. And that knowledge has spiraled me in the kind of the quality of qualification that I get. It is not about title. Check today, and I dare say, with all sense of humility, most of our academics here locally, and most, not all, don't get me wrong. The moment you have your doctorate, they think that is the end of academics. They stop working. They stop researching. As a matter of fact, and I dare say you can do your research. If you check a good number of our so-called highly preferred title holders, especially in the academics, go and look at where they are publishing their papers. What we refer to as predator journals in IITA. Indian Journal of, Pakistan Journal of, Indonesia Journal of. There's something they refer to as a Thompson Journal. Thompson Journals. Check how many Nigerians professors have their journals within that Thompson Journal, and you make your own conclusion. Because when we have that title, it's about title for us. Professor, doctor. Is that what we truly need? No. It is the knowledge behind what you are professing that matters, not the title that you are holding. It is the knowledge behind that doctorate that you have, not that your doctorate. And today for you, it is the knowledge behind your first degree that matters, not now that I have a first degree. If you are just relishing in that title, I'm sorry, it cannot lead to leadership. Integrity means choosing what is right, even when no one is watching. It means holding yourself to a higher standard, not because you must, but because you can. If you check my handle, you call it, what you will see there consistently are two things. One, I am made by grace. And the second one, a man dies in him that remains silent in the midst of tyranny. I will never become quiet in the midst of tyranny. I will speak out in the midst of tyranny. So, for you as a young person, holding yourself to a higher standard, not because you must, but because you can. Integrity means governing with transparency, fairness, and accountability. A thriving global system cannot stand on shaky moral ground. It requires leaders whose actions consistently match their words. Leaders who understand that ethics is not optional but essential. Your integrity will speak for you long before your résumé does. Guide it, nurture it, lead it with it. I will repeat that again. Your integrity will speak for you long before your résumé does. Guide it, nurture it, lead with it. People ask, why do you dress well? I say, not because I like dressing, but because people will have judged me before they know what is in my brain if I didn't dress well. So, I will use that as an example again. I've been privileged, and I count all this as privilege, and you will know why it is privilege now. To have traveled globally. I've been to 42 countries globally, and many of these countries I've been to nothing less than around 4 to 5 times. Do you know what? I've traveled with a lot of young Nigerians, and I always mostly feel disappointed. Why did I say that? You're traveling, you will have your hair unkempt, you have wearing slippers, you wear something that is like one kind, and the way you even look, your lips, and then you now say that an immigration stop you. They will stop you. Yoruba said, "Irinisi ohun nisi eni lojo." I don't know how to interpret that in English for those that are not. Okay, maybe your outward look determines how you are dressed. As the pastor will say, they will say the way you dress is the way you are dressed. It is true that you need to show yourself in that manner. Please, younger people, it is not about being expensive. When I was in the university in the UK, I had only 2 trousers. But those 2 trousers, they are not blue-black colors. You will see them well ironed, and I meant literally 2 trousers. But I dressed well because I knew. One, I was privileged to be in that college. It was a private college. I got a scholarship. I was the only black student. Sorry, I was the second black student in that college. It is always predominantly higher class, white, predominant college in the Midland of England. This is a place where when I was going to college, some young white people will come and rub their hand on my skin whether the thing will peel up. I mean it literally. They will ask me to put them on a piggyback because they want to see if my hair will peel because they've never seen it. That was how traditional the environment was at that particular point in time. So, studying in such an environment, and I now had petrol to fire that is already burning. By having an outlook that is always almost representing something different. I told my son, born and bred in England, of course, contextualized in Nigeria, I should never, at any point in time, see you wearing hood. You know the hood. I should never, at any point in time, see you wearing the hood as a black young person, because you are already giving yourself an identity that is not true about yourself. Ensure you dress in a corporate manner. He's in a private school in England. He just won an award. I'm above the rest of them. And when I saw him winning the award, I was so proud of him. The way he walked with his head high. And do you know what? All what he wrote was about the history of Nigeria and the British colonialization. And he was able to defend it with all his might. Why am I saying all this? Sometimes we point accusing finger at others, but we need to look ourselves as a young person. How have we even addressed ourselves for people to address us? So, like I said, and I will repeat again, your integrity will speak for you long before your résumé does. In this instant, your integrity may be your physical look, maybe your diminution, maybe the way they approach, maybe the way you greet, maybe how you relate. We need to build our soft skills in these areas. Innovation, the engine of tomorrow leadership. It is not just about technology, it's about imagination, courage, and the audacity to imagine what is possible. Steve Jobs, which you all know, once said, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And it was right. That you have the audacity to make a change. The audacity to make a change is what makes you to invent, to innovate. And please, I tell people that work with me, my family, I say, I want you to have tried before you give me an excuse. Don't come and tell me that it is not possible. Have you tried? You see, it's too much of laziness even in terms of knowledge these days. The same thing that you are using for whatever chat or whatever, it's the same where you can get all those knowledge from. Please try. And you'll be surprised the kind of thing that is existing that can spiral your life to whatever level you want it. I remember, and I believe many of you that work Channels TV will probably have seen this interview. And I admire this man a lot. I'm making reference to the governor of Oyo State, and I have reasons why I admire him. Not because I work with him as his advisor. A man full of knowledge, experience, very humane and humble. That interview was this last interview on Channel TV, and you can check it. It was asked a question about supposedly friends that are no longer friends. And the question was, we thought you were friends. And his response was, in his own gentle way of responding, a small mind discusses who? They discuss people. An average mind discusses what? They discuss events. A great mind discusses what? Issues and ideas. He said, I would rather discuss issues and ideas here. And that is the way it should be. I will rather discuss issues and ideas. If that is what you are discussing every day, you will see how developed your mind will be. But if it is about it becomes a problem. What is the issue around it? Is that what you are thinking about? Or it is about the event of Olubadan did, I don't even know all these things again. Is that what we sit and read every time? I'm not saying once in a while you should not. Your best magazine is Ovation. Then it's a problem. Because what you are just looking at is events. Are you building your mind on issues that help you to develop? And I dare make reference to him as my son and my daughter as well. When I sit with them, I enjoy it. I don't always have the time. Because most time, things that I've never had in my life, I hear from them. I'm a golfer. I play golf. I enjoy golf. And I've introduced to the two of them. My son became interested in that. My daughter became interested in something else. They have a right of choice. And today, things that I've never in my life heard about golf, this young man tells me. Techniques. I sent him to training school to learn golf. He played golf in his school. Things that I've never, ever had. I hear you from him. We discuss issues. And I think this is very, very essential for us, either as a parent, or as will-be parent, or as young leaders. Innovation does not just come from a mind that is not thinking on issues. Because innovation begins with a simple and powerful question. What if? That is what leads to innovation. Albert Einstein captured this spirit. We cannot solve our problem with the same thinking we used to when we created them. Again, we cannot solve our problem with the same thinking we used when we created them. There has to be if. And that if is what makes it different. And if comes from thinking on issues. Innovation challenges the status quo. It rewrites old assumptions. It transforms obstacles into opportunities. Bill Gates had, never before in history, has innovation overpromised of so much to so many in so short a time. And young people, you excel at this. You ask, why not? Why if? Why can't this change? All these are issues. They are not events and they are not people. Your curiosity is a catalyst for progress. Your imagination is a force of disruption. When youth innovate, the world doesn't just adjust, it evolves. Have you asked yourself question that many of those people that are innovating today, what is their age? When do they start? They probably start in their 20s and their 30s. But in our own context, we only make reference to leadership at presidency level. And your mates are younger. What about you in terms of innovation? I don't even have time for them anymore. I have too many things to think about. When they say people get bored, I don't get bored. Because I sleep like around 1 a.m. I have too many things to do every day. If there is none, I create another one for myself. Use your time wisely. Leadership that leaves no one behind. A thriving global system cannot exist when entire communities are excluded. Inclusion is not charity, it is a strategy. You want to be included? Strategize. You want to be included? Strategize to be included. Nobody will serve you breakfast on a plate of gold. When diverse forces, culture, gender, and perspective come together, we unlock richer, creative, and stronger solutions than any single group will achieve alone. Kofi Annan once said, we may have different religion, different languages, different color skin, but we all belong to one human race. Please, let them stop using religion and ethnicity to deceive you. I will repeat that again.